Elon Musk wants to fly people to Mars and bore a tunnel alongside the 405 freeway. But his big dreams won't matter if he fails to fix Tesla's Model 3 production line. Tesla's first mass-market car launched in July and 400,000 were to be sold in 2018. But bottlenecks have held production to only a handful of cars a day. Tesla's sky-high stock value, which briefly passed GM's, depends on turning that around. The Southern California median home price tied a record of $505,000 in September. Bryan Ch, Los Angeles Times. In 2017, home prices recovered from last decade's crash, but all was not right with Southern California's housing market. The median price hit a nominal record of $505,000 in September, partly driven by continued low mortgage rates. But a lack of homes for sale played a big role too. That doesn't bode well for affordability as the region's economy continues to add jobs, making it hard to find housing near booming job centers like LA's West Side. Snap has had difficulty generating enough user growth to satisfy investors. Carolyn Cole, Los Angeles Times. The darling of LA's tech scene did little to silence critics who say Snap Inc. was not ready to start selling shares to the public. The company's stock price has fallen by 50% since its March debut. Executive turnover, a failed play at camera-equipped sunglasses, and persistent competition from Facebook properties Instagram and WhatsApp soured investors on the makers of the Snapchat video app. A recent redesign is being counted on to raise lackluster user growth. The violent deplaning of United Airlines passenger David Dow became a viral video sensation in April as the bloodied physician was dragged down an airplane aisle. That sparked a backlash from consumers and lawmakers, who pointed to a flurry of nasty incidents, usually captured on cell phone video. United and other carriers vowed to reduce or eliminate overbooking, pay more to bumped passengers, and bolster employee training to improve service and avoid confrontations. From left, Facebook's General Counsel Colin Stretch, Twitter's Acting General Counsel Sean Edgett, and Google's Senior Vice President and General Counsel Kent Walker. Jacqueline Martin, Associated Press. This year marked the end of Silicon Valley's honeymoon with America. Utopian visions of a digital future quickly turned dystopian thanks to revelations that the country's biggest tech companies were manipulated by Russian operatives to undermine the 2016 election. Google, Facebook, and Twitter were all forced to appear before lawmakers in Washington to explain how their platforms were infiltrated by trolls, bots, and fake news. The scrutiny has raised the odds the industry will see new regulations. That's welcome news to critics who say the tech giants can't be trusted to protect Americans and need to take greater responsibility for the content that appears on their platforms. The 73-story Wilshire Grant Center is the tallest building west of the Mississippi. Travis Jesk for The Times. The completion of a new, tallest building often marks the end of a building boom, but not in downtown Los Angeles. The 73-story Wilshire Grant Center, developed by South Korean investors, opened in June. The $1.35 billion skyscraper houses an intercontinental hotel, several floors of office space, and 5 restaurants. Nearby, giant cranes work away on projects like the $1 billion Metropolis condominium and hotel complex and the $1 billion Oceanwide residential, hotel and retail complex. Money pouring in from U.S. and foreign investors, both Metropolis and Oceanwide are backed by Chinese developers, is transforming LA's central core from an office and government center into a more vibrant neighborhood where thousands of people live or come to be entertained. Amazon announced in June it was buying Whole Foods for $13.7 billion. David Ryder, Getty Images. Since the acquisition, Whole Foods has lowered prices on many items, but others have gone up. Eric Gay, Associated Press. Amazon.com went on its own spending spree this year, adding Whole Foods to its shopping cart. Jeff Bezos' Seattle mega company bought Whole Foods for $13.7 billion and vowed to immediately slash prices at the notoriously pricey grocery chain. Avocados, salmon, brown eggs, and organic apples all got the lower price treatment, although prices for other products went up. Meanwhile, Amazon continues to make significant strides in video, lightning fist delivery, voice recognition, personal assistants, audiobooks, shopping, pharmacy, and even bricks-and-mortar stores. The bull market in stocks is now the second longest on record. Mike Roy, TNS. Rising rates were supposed to kill it. So were North Korea's saber-rattling and doubts about President Trump's tax cuts. But nothing slowed the nearly 9-year-old bull market in stocks, now the second longest on record. The Dow Jones Industrial Average had climbed 23% for the year through November 29. What might spark a reversal? Candidates include China's shaky banks, a trade war, trading algorithms moving in lockstep, and the digital currency Bitcoin, which has climbed 900%, crashing to earth. Uber ousted founder Travis Kalanick as chief executive in a rocky year for the ride-hailing company. Will Oliver EPA Uber started the year as the indisputable king of ride-hailing and startups. But a relentless string of scandals has weakened its standing. It lost executives over UAL harassment and bullying accusations, ousted CEO Travis Kalanick, and concealed a data breach that affected more than 50 million customers. It faced lawsuits from drivers, passengers, and Alphabet-owned Waymo, and was kicked out of London. Amid boardroom infighting, Uber is now facing a huge markdown in its valuation as it tries to sell at least 14% of its shares to Japanese conglomerate SoftBank. Mick Mulvaney, the new acting director of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Jacqueline Martin, Associated Press. A decade after the housing bust sparked the worst U.S. recession since the Great Depression and ushered in tighter lending regulations, the financial industry is succeeding in loosening its leash. In October, Congress voted to overturn a Consumer Financial Protection Bureau rule that would have allowed consumers to hit banks with class action lawsuits. A month later, President Trump moved to neutralize the CFPB itself, installing White House budget director and harsh bureau critic Mick Mulvaney as its interim head. Next up, reworking regulations on unwinding failed financial institutions. The Department of Justice has sued to block AT&T's $85 billion purchase of Time Warner Inc. Alan Diaz, Associated Press. Time Warner's offerings include HBO's Game of Thrones, Above, and the Harry Potter films. HBO. It would create one of the biggest players in Hollywood, marrying a telecommunications giant with the owner of HBO's Game of Thrones and the Harry Potter films. But there's one hitch: the Department of Justice has sued to block AT&T's $85 billion purchase of Time Warner Inc., contending it would wield too much control over entertainment. Many observers suspect the unusual action has something to do with President Trump, who has long expressed disdain for Time Warner's cash cow CNN. A court case could establish a benchmark for antitrust actions and have a chilling effect on other big media deals. Copyright 2017, Los Angeles Times.